Okay, I think I've finally done enough yelling, cussing, pouting, and crying now. My phone is blowing up, asking for my reactions to the game. So here is my full instant reaction to my Los Angeles Chargers getting bounced in round one. We're going to be breaking down the game and talking about how we even got here. Answer some tough questions about whether or not Justin Herbert is a choke artist. And look forward at where do my Chargers go from here. But first, I actually have a message to send to the Raiders fans. The message is clear. Shut the fuck up. Y'all spent the last 8 weeks talking about tanking. And when the Chargers swept y'all, the Raiders fans didn't have a word to say. Everyone was silent. It was crickets on the internet. And I thought y'all had given up completely. But now all y'all want to come out and talk. Not about the Chargers. They're specifically posting about me. Go worry about the fact that non-existent Chargers fans invaded your stadium before you worry about the Chargers playoff game. All right, now let's talk about the Houston Texans. Texans fans are the ones that should be talking shit to me because this was my score prediction for this game. The Chargers seem like a runaway train right now, straight towards Kansas City, defeating Houston and making a statement in the AFC 30-10. Go ahead, Texans fans. Let me have it because it was actually the opposite. And the main culprits on the Texans and the shout out I'd like to give is I discounted that front seven. They got to Herbert, especially late in the game, and Herbert threw 4 interceptions in this game, and everyone's cooking him for it, but it does have a lot to do with the pressure he was facing thanks to this Texans D-line feasting on my Chargers offensive line, which we're going to talk about more. And then specifically Nico Collins, he has elevated himself and gotten himself to a level where he is an unstoppable wide receiver in the NFL. I would put him as an edge of top 10 guy, elite wide receiver in the league at this point. I also probably underrated how dominant Nico Collins is and how he's just going to break loose on 4 to 5 plays every single game against any opponent, even the number one, statistically, the number one defense in the NFL this year, which is what the Chargers brought into this one. And in the first quarter, that number one defense was flexing. They were tormenting the Texans offense, not giving up hardly anything. And on the other side of the ball, the Chargers were actually moving it well. Ladd was getting wide open. My first thoughts in that first quarter was, hey, Ladd's going to have 200 yards. And sure enough, he almost had 200 yards in this game. I was just thinking the Texans were going to make some kind of adjustments to move over to Ladd McConkey, but they had other plans to stop our offense. At the end of the first quarter, it felt like the Chargers kind of had this, but they were failing to capitalize on this momentum and only came out of the quarter despite having multiple possessions that went past the 50-yard line with 6 points. 2 Cameron Dicker field goals. The defense was doing so well in that first quarter that the opponent started to accuse the Chargers of cheating. And it's kind of funny. This is a little side note that I wanted to talk about. The Harbaugh effect that we talk about so much that came to the Chargers. The experience that this guy has is something that this franchise hasn't had in decades. Harbaugh has the special teams unit and Fick, and you got to give the special teams coordinator credit as well, emulating the Houston Texans punt cadences while they're trying to get the snap off, trying to cause a false start by the offense. You can call that dirty football. You can call it whatever you want. To study the other team's punt cadences shows a different level of attention to detail. And we saw it earlier in the year with Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce and Derwin James got caught in a genuine, mic'd up, candid moment. Travis Kelce pushes off Derwin James. Derwin James looks to the ref. He's like, where's the flag? And Travis Kelce's like, hell yeah, I pushed off. You know my routes. It's because the Chargers have brought a coaching staff that is literally famous for stealing the opponent's plays and finding a way to relay that information to the players before the ball is snapped. And you can call it whatever you want. I just call it attention to detail. It's been happening in the sport of football forever at the high school level, college level, and the NFL level. Everyone's been looking at the other team's sideline, trying to pick up on any cues that they can possibly pick up on, and Harbaugh puts that extra effort in to make an extra play, to create a punt block or to create some kind of turnover or to give Derwin James a heads up when they're probably going to be targeting him. Dean Leonard made this insane pick, and I was like, all right, now the Chargers offense is about to take off. But man, we refuse to run the ball this year. And we're going to talk about some of the weaknesses getting exposed on the Chargers here in a few minutes. Once we get that turnover, instead of running the ball, we air it out deep and throw a pick right back. And everyone says it's when CJ Stroud made this magical play on this fumbled snap. He picks up the ball, rolls out right, slings it downfield for this big pass that sparks the Houston Texans team and offense. But really, people are forgetting just before this, the Texans threw a pick and then got a pick right back. I feel like if we do not throw that pick right back and the Chargers even get a field goal on that drive, but go down and score a touchdown and go up 13-0, this whole thing goes completely differently, because ever since that pick back to the Texans were on one. And yes, the next play or 2 or 3 plays later, CJ Stroud makes that ridiculous play, which you got to give the guy credit for making the play. The Chargers' mistake sparked the Texans, and from there, they didn't look back at all. And what I said earlier about your biggest weaknesses getting exposed in the postseason came true for my Chargers in this game. It is true that early on in the season, especially, the Chargers struggled to pick up blitzes up the middle against defenses and against front sevens that are able to run a lot of creative stunts. The middle of the Chargers pass protection has been weaker all season, and I know Chargers fans saw the progress that Zion Johnson made as a run blocker. They saw the progress that was made on the other side at guard when Sawyer got in there and made the move in for Pipkins a few weeks ago when he got injured. The Chargers have to look at least adding one interior offensive lineman in free agency this offseason, maybe multiple, because it's been bad all year in pass protection, and it's impossible almost for a quarterback to have consistent success week after week after week when he can't step up into the pocket. And then again, another thing I wanted to say is that the Chargers rushing attack has kind of been overrated all season. I didn't say anything because I'm not one to talk bad about the Chargers, but now that it's done, very early on in the season, I was trading J.K. Dobbins on all my fantasy teams because I could see how big play dependent this Chargers rushing attack was getting, and that was something that worried me mightily down the stretch of the season if J.K. got injured, which he ended up getting injured, and the Chargers could not run the ball at all anymore, or if we just don't find those big plays in the rushing attack in the postseason. And we found no big running plays in this game. The Chargers got shut down on the ground, and it's a weakness that we've had all year. 3rd and 2, I did not have any confidence giving the ball to Gus. 3rd and 1, I did not have any confidence giving that ball to JK. In those situations, I almost want the Chargers to give the ball to Herbert every single time when our rushing attack is struggling in known running downs. And then the other major offensive weakness that the Chargers need to attack this offseason is the weapon core as a whole, not just the wide receivers, but mainly the wide receivers. The Chargers have been amongst the top of the league in drop passes this year, and that was no different in this game. Drop passes ended in interceptions. Drop passes cost us 3rd down conversions, and drop passes cost us big plays late in the game when we're trying to make a comeback. With all due respect, Quentin Johnston is not a starting caliber wide receiver in the NFL. Yeah, I feel like he could be a depth guy, a wide receiver 3, a wide receiver 4, a guy that's on the roster and used in very specific spots when he's schemed wide open, or used to run a dragger, or used to run a screen, or used to get the starting wide receivers a break. But just in the play on 4th and 2, to run that whip route at only 1 yard when you know it's 4th and 2, it just shows a lack of awareness out there on the football field. And this guy's not a rookie anymore. I've been saying it. I'm not going to beat up the kid because I think he is an absolutely amazing person, amazing teammate. I hope he's on the team next year still, just in the depth chart a little bit further down. Quentin Johnston cannot line up as our starting X wide receiver next year. And that weakness got exposed today. And then in my opinion, the defense's only weakness all year is a little bit of struggling with stopping the run late in games, but mostly mobile quarterbacks that can extend plays. We play a lot of man coverage, and that man coverage gets broken by a very good scrambling quarterback like CJ Stroud. We're going to see a lot of big plays and absolutely cook the Chargers defense. And then Joe Mixon ran all over us as well. One weakness we did not have all season that we had in yesterday's game now was Justin Herbert. And I've been avoiding this topic because it's a really hard one for me to talk about. All I want to talk about is what great year Justin Herbert just had. I mean, everyone is banking on for throwing 4 interceptions. He threw 3 interceptions throughout 17 games this season. Herbert played through multiple injuries that your quarterback wouldn't play through, and he played at a higher level than your quarterback. In my personal opinion, he didn't put up the crazy yardage number or touchdown number that he had his sophomore year. This was Herbert's most consistent. This was Herbert's best year as a pro so far in the NFL. I can't ignore the Herbert choke artist combo. I mean, we already went through the Week 18 situation versus the Raiders, the Jacksonville Jaguars 27-point lead blown a few years ago, and now this game where a lot of people had the Chargers winning. The Chargers were favored heading into the game. The Texans were on a downhill slide, honestly, heading into this game, and the Chargers were on a 3-game winning streak. They choke again. But you're going to get this slander in the NFL, especially when you're looked at as one of the best quarterbacks in the league, when you throw 4 interceptions in a playoff game, even if they weren't all completely your fault. Herbert knows this. He mentioned it in his post-game presser.
I let the team down, and you can't turn over the ball like that and expect to win and put the team into a tough position there with 4 turnovers like that. So, the defense hung tough. They got some turnovers. They gave us opportunities, but I just have to be better. And
as quiet as the guy is, he sees all of this online slander that's going around. I mean, look at some of these memes. Okay, now we're just pretending like C.J. Stroud didn't turn the ball over a bunch of times also. I don't care. I still believe in Justin Herbert. This Cars meme doesn't change anything. He's still a top 5 quarterback. I'd probably have meant like 5, honestly. I bet you all are going to rank Joe Burrow over him, and Joe Burrow's not even in the playoffs. Still can't believe the playoff committee let the Chargers in. Okay, at least that's creative. I want Justin Herbert to get this playoff win so bad, man. He's never going to get this freaking monkey off his back. I got to wait a whole nother year. Y'all really think this is funny? Y'all really think No, we're not the 76ers. Justin Herbert is not Joel Embiid. They're saying this is Olympic level chargering. The Chargers offense in the span of 3 minutes. Pick 6, INT, sack, 86-yard touchdown, blocked extra point return by the Texans for a 2-point touchdown. This is what I'm talking about with the Quentin Johnson thing, man. This dude went for 200 yards last week against the shitty Raiders. And now this week against a good defense, he can't do anything. Please, Chargers, we need to go get someone in free agency this offseason, or the Chargers can target a receiver in round 2 or 3 and be completely fine with who they get there. You see, 0 major accolades, like he didn't win Rookie of the Year, 0 major accolades, like he doesn't hold every record for a quarterback in their first 5 seasons of their career, basically in the book. Every rookie record in the book, Justin Herbert has some accolades that we could talk about. I'm telling you, man, when this guy goes on a run to the Super Bowl, everyone is going to shut up. Okay. At least we're roasting Dak now, and we're getting off my man Herbert. That's enough of this. All the Herbert slander aside, I still believe in my guy fully. Yes, he had a terrible game. By the time we got to the 4th quarter, Herbert was rattled. Herbert's timing was thrown off. He was expecting to get hit on every single play when we're trying to throw back into a game that we're down by more than 2 scores. And I actually applaud Herbert for continuing to throw and continuing to fire and not be embarrassed by the fact the stat sheet said 4 interceptions. The fact that he threw more interceptions in tonight's game than he did the entire season. Because that is what builds character in this league. You don't quit. You keep firing. It's very Phillip Rivers-esque.
I can say I gave it everything I had. And maybe it means an interception on 4th and 18 when you're down 10. Because I don't care that it's going to say 2 interceptions. Shoot, I couldn't try it any harder.
So I'm actually proud of Herbert for going down swinging. It's the end of the season. It's the playoffs. You leave it all on the field. Who cares about the online reaction? Plain and simple, good playoff teams go and score. I know we had the number 1 defense in the league this year. The Chargers defense overperformed by all metrics. It was a very young defense. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. The Chargers will be back, and the Chargers will score one day in the playoffs. Because when you look at the Harbaugh year 1, it was still very successful. Think about it. This was a 5-win team last season. We lost our wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, tight end 1, tight end 2, running back 1, running back 2, all pro center. The Chargers drafted a rookie at right tackle. We had 2 rookies starting at corner all year. Remember Asante Samuel Jr.? He's gone. He was injured all season. And that 5-win team doubled their wins, made it to the postseason, and honestly showed that next year, this team will be back with a vengeance. And it's all thanks to Harbaugh. He is a perfect fit for Derwin James, Justin Herbert, all these guys. On top of it all, he brought energy back this season to the fan base, and that's something that we cannot lose sight of as Chargers fans. That year 1 of Harbaugh was extremely successful, and I think that the Chargers could have done a lot less, and this first year still been extremely successful. Before you even talk about the franchise level young players that are going to be coming back with this team next year. Like Justin Herbert, who's still 27 years old. Ladd McConkey was a rookie. Rashawn Slater's still under the age of 27. Joe Alt was a rookie. Zion Johnson is still very young. Tuli Tuipulotu is an up-and-coming star in this league. Deion Henley in the middle. Tarheeb Still and Cam Hart out wide were gems found, hidden, like needles in a haystack. I think the Chargers are going to get on their horse, and they're going to make sure they sign guys like Poona Ford, J.K. Dobbins. Bring some of these vets that were successful this year back. And then LA will have a shit ton of cap to spend on whatever wide receiver, guard, cornerback, safety, linebacker, tight end Harbaugh wants. And most importantly of all, as we saw this year, in my opinion, the most successful part of the Chargers season, or should I say the root of the Chargers' success this season, was last year's draft class. And we're going to get a whole nother draft class, a whole nother set of rookies in here, hand selected by Jim Harbaugh and Chef Ortiz. And if they turn 5 wins into 11 wins, just imagine what they're going to turn 11 wins into in year 2. Who's got it better than us? Hold it down, because it's nobody. And it'll always be nobody. Chargers fans, hold your heads up high. What an amazing season. I am getting chills talking about it right now. Had an absolute blast at all the games. And I hope to see everyone out there just as excited for 2025. Stay tuned. We'll be following the Chargers all offseason and all 32 teams. So if you're an NFL fan, do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Hi, I'm NFLMike. If you've never seen me before, I'm an NFL content creator that creates NFL content 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and twice on Sundays. If you're an NFL fan, you will love the channel. If you're a Chargers fan, you'll definitely love the channel. If you're a Raiders fan, don't bother. I don't even know why you're still watching. And then make sure you like this video. It's the way you can support this individual video on the YouTube algorithm. You guys know me as a TikToker. They're banning TikTok, so now we're YouTubers. Please help me out, guys. Like the video. Share it with some Chargers fans. What's next for my Bolts? Destiny's next. That's what's next. But I guess sooner rather than later, no matter what I think, the ball definitely won't lie. Man, I love being a Chargers fan. Bolt up, baby.
Bill Flames, I went Mike on the mic. With something brand new, one time for your mind. He gave you fair warning. Now it's time to smack him in the mouth with that raw sports talk from the town. Sweet chin music to your favorite sportscaster.